It's 1 degree outside, so what better time to tell you what I bring in my hiking backpack when it's cold? I'm going to tell you in here though, so I don't freeze while I do it. I mainly use the Osprey Tempest 24, which, to be honest, is probably a bigger pack than most people use on a day hike. This 20 litre is also a great size, but in winter I would tend to go on a bigger side just to fit all of your layers in, which I'll go into now. So if we start off on the outer pockets, probably the most important one is this one. I keep my first aid kit in here because this is like the easiest to access pocket. You don't have to go rummaging around if you're in an emergency situation. I keep cotton wool. I keep an extra lighter in there. And then I've cut up these, it's blister tape or something, but I've cut up this into little sections so that if I have a blister, I can just use one of these instead of using a proper plaster. Just anything you could probably need in an emergency that you can reasonably take with you is in here, but obviously tailor it to what you need and what you think other people will need as well. It's always good to be able to help others on the trail. But that goes into this main pocket. What else have I got in here? I have self-adhesive bandages. I just thought that would be handy to have and it fits, so I may as well keep it in there. I think it's also probably good to, you know, tie up broken stuff, so I keep that in an easily accessible place. I also keep hand gel, so hand sanitizer, and emergency whirly bar. I also use these, which my sister-in-law got me for Christmas recently. You just snap the metal inside and it activates with the gel and it makes a hand warmer, and then when you get home you can boil it and you can reuse them, so it's just a lot less waste. You don't have to keep rebuying them. So that's this main pocket done. In this bag, the water reservoir sits in between the foam back panel and the front of the bag, so it is completely separate from the main pocket of the bag, and that's great so that if it pops or leaks, it's not going to get all over your stuff. So my water bladder is attached to this straw, and it just means it's a lot easier to drink from. You just take the lid off and it's just really easy. It means you don't have to stop every time you want a drink. You don't have to ask other people to get your drink out of your bag. It's very helpful. However, in the winter, this can actually freeze, so top tip, if you're out in very cold weather, just blow it back up the tube. Don't blow for too long because you'll just inflate your bag, but you can just blow it up. And then it's all water free and it won't freeze. I also keep a bin liner. Not very chic, not very glamorous, but this can be a great emergency shelter. I am thinking of getting a bivvy bag. At the moment, I'm not really doing anything too outlandish, so I don't think I need it that much. But this can be great in a pinch if you need some shelter from the rain. It can also be used for its actual purpose of collecting rubbish. If you see that someone's littered a load of stuff on a trail, you can be a really good Samaritan and pick it up yourself and bin it. It'd probably ruin your hike, but you'll have done something nice. So I keep that in there. It can also work as a bag cover, but this bag is pretty water resistant anyway, so I don't really worry about that. I have a buff and my winter gloves. These are already lined, so I don't need another liner pair, but I do bring a second pair of gloves that are made of merino wool. I just feel like it's the same thing as socks, where 2 pairs are better than 1, so I bring both. I usually take my other pair in my coat pocket though, or I just start out using them straight away. So I don't actually have them on me right now, but they look like this. When I'm not wearing them, they usually go in this little pocket here. But other than that, I also take a microfiber flannel or little towel. I just find it's helpful for if you end up falling into a muddy bog or something like that, you can use this to wipe it all clean. And I feel like just having a mini towel to dry yourself off if you need to is probably a good thing to have. On the other side, I have a pair of sunnies, which are pretty radical if you ask me. And I have a tiny little monocular. Now, I have terrible vision and I hate wearing my glasses, so I just thought this would be great to, you know, keep an eye on my surroundings. Plus, if you see any animals that you think might be injured or, you know, have an issue, you can observe them from a distance, because animals will definitely just try and run away or hide their injuries if they see predators, aka us. So, monocular. Also, if you get lost, this is great for looking for landmarks. So, definitely a good thing to keep on hand. Okay, moving on to the front, although I guess this is the back of the bag, but when you're wearing it, this is the front. I have a lip balm in here. It's always good to have one that you don't need to stick your fingers in, like Vaseline. This way, if you have really dirty hands, you're not contaminating your products. And in the hip pockets down here, one of them I have a little torch. I bring a headlamp too, but we'll get to that later. I have an inhaler and a couple of hair ties. I also have my eczema cream, or at least a really tiny pot of it, because my eczema cream tub is about this big, and I have another one that's about this big. So I'm not taking either of those with me on a hike. This I need because my hands will fall off without it. And I also keep antihistamines in there as well, just, you know, in case. I'm allergic to horses and I love animals, so if I see a horse, I'm touching it, and therefore I need quick access to antihistamines. The other pocket is strictly for snacks. Now, moving on to the actual inside of the bag. So when you're packing a backpack, you want the stuff you need the most at this top little pocket here. You also want the heaviest stuff to be positioned at the back of the bag, so all of the weight is being, you know, supported by your body. Okay, so first thing is my camera. I have the Sony a6000 with a pretty universal lens. It might be the kit lens. It's the 16 to 50mm. I do want to invest in a zoom lens in the future, hence the extra bag space needed. But at the moment, I just use the standard. I also sometimes use this clip, which is a knockoff, I think it's called Peak Performance bag clip for your camera. Essentially, it uses this little tripod plate here, and you can quickly clip it in and out, and it'll hold your camera on there pretty securely. And that's just a lot easier than getting it in and out of your bag. And that just goes onto your strap like that. And then you just push this button and you can get it out. I'm tempted to get the proper one, but I don't know how much I want to pay just to have my camera easily accessible, especially because I also use the one that I'm filming on right now, and that's pretty good as well, to be honest. Okay, next is a hat. So you might be wearing it when you start out. If not, always good to pack one. I also have an easily removable layer, so this is just a little thin fleece. I tend to run pretty warm when I'm exercising, so I don't like wearing stuff straight away. I think the saying is be bold, start cold, and that's definitely something to live by. If you start all bundled up, you're gonna sweat through your clothes and then you'll get cold as soon as you stop walking. So better to start cold and then get warm as you exercise. But I like to keep this in there just as a quick little layer to add if we stop, or if I do end up feeling cold, like if you're starting to go on a decline. In my bag, I also keep my ice spikes. They're just mini spikes, they're not proper crampons, but they're currently covered in snow, so you can't really see them, but they just slip around your shoes and just add a bit of extra grip. These ones you got to be careful of though, because they do fall off pretty easily. I lost one on this trip and I had to retrace my steps a bit, but luckily I found it pretty quickly. But yeah, you don't want to be losing that on the trail, so maybe invest in some proper fitting ones from Decathlon or something like that. I have found them very helpful for this trail though, because there's a lot of compacted snow, which is quite slippy, so very handy. These ice spikes are coming in handy. Next, I have a mini tripod for my filming camera, which is really cool because it'll just latch onto any branches, or you can, you know, position it nicely on a rock. It's just really helpful and it's super light, so that stays in there. I also keep this little fold away sit mat. This is like the lightest thing ever. It literally saves your ass from getting too wet and cold. So great to have. I always keep it on the outside. How does this fold? How did I have this? There we go. I always keep it on the farthest out section of the bag because it's the lightest thing in there. I also have utensils, so if I'm eating something other than, you know, a wrap, I'll use these. So I have a multi-fork in here, and then like a little knife and a spoon. And I also keep a bit of kitchen towel in there to stop them rattling around. Extra pair of socks if they're merino wool bonus points. These are just great to have in case you get wet feet or you start feeling, you know, pneumonia. If you start taking a funny turn and you're too cold, always good to change your socks. Plus my partner won't let me wear muddy shoes in the car, so I change into these. I also sometimes bring pack away waterproof over trousers. Usually in winter, the trousers I wear are pretty water repellent anyway, but I tend to bring these as well even if I do wear those, because back to what I was saying about the muddy car, I usually get muddy trousers as well. And you can quickly just change into these. Even though they say breathable, they will feel sweaty against your bare legs, but they have saved me in a pinch where I've had really muddy trousers and I didn't want to sit on the bare car seats. I switched into these and it did for the journey home. I also take these little sleeves. I'm actually wearing them right now under my shirt because I'm wearing a sleeveless top. If I'm wearing a t-shirt or something like that, these are just extra nice if you need a bit of extra warmth on your arms. Also, they kind of work as compression sleeves, so if you struggle with dizziness and fainting and that kind of thing, these are pretty helpful for that. Right at the bottom I have this down jacket. It just packs down really well and I'm not too likely to need it on the actual hike itself, so it can stay right at the bottom of my bag. I'll usually use it once we're finished, and maybe like if we're stopping for a pint afterwards, I'll wear the fleece, then the down jacket, then my waterproof on top. And then last but not least, we have this pocket, which is all of the essential stuff you need, but isn't necessary in an emergency to need it on the front pocket. In here, straight away you have a little clip that you can put your keys on, which is really helpful. In here I have toilet supplies, which, you know, people that have to squat when they pee will understand. So I have something called a shiwi, which basically lets you be able to pee standing up. I feel like you can get the picture from that. I've also got an antibacterial cloth in here and toilet roll, and it's all in a Ziploc bag as well. Next we have a trusty head torch. This one is my dad's old one, and I should probably get a new one because it doesn't have a red mode, which is really helpful in the dark. So head torch, even if I'm going on a day hike, I like to have some kind of torch or head torch on me. You know, you never know if something's going to happen and your hike is going to take a lot longer, especially in winter when we have way less daylight time. I just think it's better to be safe than sorry and have a way of being able to see where you're going. I also have a portable charger and the actual cable for your phone. Always handy to have, especially if you travel in via public transport. You're going to need your train tickets, that kind of thing, so don't let your phone die. Use a portable charger. I didn't used to do this, but I've also started to bring a printed out version of wherever I'm going. So this one is just Kinder Scout Mentor area, and with that, a compass. I also send my maps to my Garmin as well, but if all those fail, it's always good to have a physical version of the map. If you've got an All Trails subscription, you can print out custom maps, so I just do that because I don't have the proper OS Maps booklet yet. I also take a lighter, some paracord. I also take a tiny little tea light candle. I don't know why, I just thought it would be good to have if I needed to start a fire in an emergency, or you know, keep myself warm for a bit. I also have a ferro rod with magnesium and a striker as well, so this you can just shave off some of the magnesium and then strike it and it'll spark and light a flame. Don't go starting fires on a hike. If you're in an emergency situation, this could help you out in a pinch, especially in winter when lighters can freeze. So always good to have a backup. Oh, one thing I forgot is this trekking pole. Technically it is in my bag because it stays here. Osprey has like a trekking pole holder set up, so this stays on my bag if I need a bit of extra help on a trail. It's just a pretty standard one from Decathlon, I believe, but you know, it's there if I need it. But my bag is pretty much empty now, so I think that's everything I take with me on my bag. Apart from food, which will go underneath the easily grabbable fleece layer. I don't have a whistle because this bag actually has one on here, but a whistle is a great thing to bring too if your bag doesn't have that. Aside from that though, I think that's everything. I realise now that that probably might seem like I take a lot of stuff with me on a hike, just for like a day hike, especially if you're just going to somewhere like Mamtor, for example. But I always think it's better to be safe than sorry, and I have the stuff, I'm comfortable carrying it, and I feel like I would just, you know, sod's law, I would miss it if I didn't have it with me, so I may as well just bring it all. You may not need everything that I've just gone through. You can add and get rid of stuff where you see fit, but just remember to bring stuff with you that will keep you warm, hydrated, fueled. Bring first aid and extra forms of navigation, especially in the winter, because the cold will deplete batteries quicker. So it's always good to have that extra battery-free version. Let me know if I'm missing anything. I'm always open to more ideas of stuff I can add to my list of things to bring on a hike. I know I found it really helpful when I started getting back into hiking to watch videos like this, so I hope this helped someone. So like this video if it helped, comment anything that you think I'm missing, and subscribe if you want to see more hiking content. I'll see you in the next one. Ding bank.